anything for the good of the club, anything that people need to get the notices out for, get any information out on? I'm hoping Brian, when he joins us, can bring us up to date on vaccines and what's going on with their situation. So anybody else have anything?
I just have a comment. I thought it just occurred to me, sister, I'm district governor of 51 clubs in Eastern Missouri. With COVID, I just realized my new title should be distant governor, not district governor, because they don't want me to go visit in person. So anyway, we'll have a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sister, the most I know about, because Mitch pretty well set this up, I know, and unfortunately he cannot be there. But the most I know about you is obviously you're a sister. I don't know what order or anything. And I know that you're now in charge of the food pantry.
Oh, damn. Is it maybe up on the counter? I had it folded in half lengthwise, and at the top.
Yeah, we're going to fix this problem in a hurry. I'm going to just mute everybody unless you mute yourself. There we go. Okay, so sister, it's you and me. We shouldn't have any other issues now. You can say what you want. They can't talk.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you take it from here. And do you need to share a screen or anything, or are you just speaking at this point?
It's just me and my passion for the mission of Ritenour Food Pantry. So thank you for having me this morning. I don't know if you remember, but it's been almost 4 years ago that I spoke to the Rotary about my other ministry, which is the Presentation Arts Center. Thank you for all the support you offered to the center. We used the money to purchase keyboards, as in piano keyboards for kiddos, to take home, and they are still in use by the same children who got them 4 years ago. So I want you to know what an impact you make in the lives of our kiddos every day. So on to the food pantry. I am the interim executive director. I've been at the pantry since July. I'm a daughter of charity. So I think probably a lot of us are in the age group where we would remember the Flying Nun and with the white wings. So that was the habit of the Daughters of Charity. I've been in St. Louis about 8 years, between 4 years, excuse me, in East St. Louis. And now I'm the music director at Our Lady of the Presentation Parish. I'm a pianist around town in a little duo. And now, proudly, I am at the Ritenour Co-Care Food Pantry. So the mission of the food pantry is to reduce toxic stress of food insecurity for those living within the Ritenour School District. Whether you have a child in the district or not, anyone who lives within the boundaries of the Ritenour School District is welcome to come to the pantry. I can't see anybody. Okay, there we go. I like that view better. If you have any questions during my presentation, please just do not hesitate. Well, you guys are all muted. Well, don't hesitate to take yourself off mute and throw a question my way.
Pantry.
So I'm going to do a brief history of the food pantry, which started back in 1980 in a janitor's closet in, I believe it was New Horizons Church. Does anybody remember the early days of the pantry? Ken Crowder and Tom and Linda Hale, I know, were very, very instrumental in launching the food pantry, and it has evolved and grown into our present organization, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we are currently in our 4th location, which is, do you guys know where we are? In the Husky Support Center. where the school buses are normally parked, right on Midland, the former Overland Baptist Church. And we moved there in the middle of COVID. It's been almost a year, if you can believe it or not. And because of COVID, we haven't been able to have a public open house, but we plan to do so. So I want to talk a little bit about COVID. Not that we haven't heard enough about COVID, but it has had such an incredible effect on our community, particularly those living within the Ritenour School District. We, at our peak, which seems to have been in October, November, and December, peak in terms of the number of people coming to us in need, we were providing food for a car every 2 minutes. And a car represents a family in need. Some of our, some of our clients are older people on fixed income. Some of them are homeowners. Some of our folks were in need of food prior to COVID, but so many have lost jobs due to COVID, have lost relatives, have had their own health setbacks, serious health setbacks, because of how the virus has affected their body and their family. So right now we are distributing food curbside, thanks to the help of the National Guard, which we've had them since April, and now we believe we have them until June, and possibly have that deployment be extended, I hope, until the fall. Right now, for a family or a household or an individual to receive food, there are no income requirements. Folks can come weekly at this point. So really no one is turned away, even if they don't live in the Ritenour School District the first time they come. We do provide them food and try to guide them toward a food pantry that's in their residential area. Our closest partners in terms of food pantry are the Adventist Food Pantry on Woodson. You might be familiar with that, Woodson, and kind of by Dairy Queen on the Rock Road. And also the Jewish Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry over on Bauer. I think it's in Maryland Heights or Creve Coeur, I'm not sure which. So the amount of food that we are currently receiving is from the food bank and Operation Food Search seems to be decreasing, and really we believe it's just because they don't have it to give, while at the same time our numbers of clients have increased.
You want to listen? Is it interesting to you?
Community food drives have almost dried up because of COVID. So we're hoping that this coming year, once COVID gets more under control, that we can see things kind of leveling off in terms of community food drives. So we hope that some of the food drives are able to be kind of resurrected as people feel safe. You guys doing okay out there? Okay, just checking. So where does our food come from? The food that we distribute comes primarily from 3 sources. Number one, the St. Louis Area Food Bank. They do a tremendous job. We receive anywhere from 4 to 8 pallets twice a week from them. The crazy thing with the food bank is that it's what we receive is on the random side. So we're always dealing with ambiguity. We never know what we're going to receive specifically. There is some food waste that comes out of that partnership just because of how the food is packaged and not always having the most careful people in the, loading the food at the food bank. Young, no offense, but sometimes it's young guys, sorry to say that, who would do something like put 400 eggs under frozen meat. And we get a lot of fresh produce, which we're so happy to distribute to those in need. There's some waste involved in that. So I'm kind of thinking one of the things that I'm trying to promote in the community is the idea of helping us figure out how to waste less food, how to maybe compost food. So if any of you have connections with any kind of larger company that can help us do composting, we would be really, really happy to waste less food. Operation Food Search is another one of our biggest providers. The difference between the food bank and food search, the food bank delivers the food to us twice a week, also offers free, sometimes free food if they have extra, like soup and tuna and canned chicken. We've received that recently. As opposed to Operation Food Search, where we have two 16-foot box trucks that go out into the community almost every day, I think it is, and pick up. We're assigned certain stores. Like right now we have Schnucks stores, Ruler, the former Entenmann's, which now has a different name. Trying to think what, and now we're starting Dollar General, Dollar General is now partnering with Operation Food Search. And so we will be picking up food and probably some other items from, I think, $4 or $5 Dollar Generals in the areas, actually starting today. So we're anxious to see how that will help us help our clients. And the third primary food source is community food drives, churches, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, who are able to do food drives. So the community, I would say the Overland community is really generous. When we put something out there, perhaps in the localite, people respond very graciously, very generously, with great compassion and empathy. So kudos to all of the residents in our area, and especially to you, the community business leaders. Thank you. Often people ask, what is our relationship with Ritenour School District because of our name, Ritenour Co-Care? So the food pantry, while being located in the Husky Support Center, we are a separate 501c3. We're governed by a board of directors. We're always looking for board members and committee members, as like what nonprofit isn't, but that is a specific way that Rotary could possibly help, which would be connect us to people that are interested in the food insecurity issue and have time to serve on our board. We recently, as in last week, began a 3-year strategic planning process, which is very, very exciting. One of the things that brings me a lot of energy and promotes kind of dreaming and imagining and visioning for the food pantry for the future is the vision of Dr. Chris Kilbride, superintendent. And his vision is to use the Husky Support Center and for lack of better words, a one-stop shopping building for families and individuals in need. So I believe the next step in building up the Husky Support Center is for the school district health clinic, which is now at Hake Middle School, to move that entity into the Husky Support Center. So, and then I think there's also some visioning around perhaps dental care, maybe a clothes closet, maybe behavioral health, mental health services, and obviously the anchor, being the food pantry. So very exciting times coming up, I think. So let's see. You guys doing okay? Everybody's very quiet. Okay. Am I doing okay?
You're doing fine on time as well as coming through. Everything is great.
Okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about our volunteers. So right now, and actually the whole history, since 1980, the food pantry has been a 100% volunteer run organization, and it continues to be so at the current time. The pantry, however, is, in a way, the horse is kind of out of the barn because we're in a larger facility. We're serving more people. We're orienting new volunteers all the time. Our financial position is strengthening. So we are really a large organization, comparatively speaking, with other food banks. So I think we're going to have to look at a different business model going forward, which is obviously part of our strategic plan. We have 35 volunteers weekly, and that includes the administration in terms of being 100% volunteer. Bless the Daughters of Charity, they're able to donate my services to help the food pantry stabilize. The current profile of kind of a typical volunteer right now is a 71-year-old white female. One thing that I think is really, really critical is because our school district boundaries the demographics really are changing. So we're really in need of bilingual volunteers. We'd like for our volunteer corps and our board to kind of represent the community, which our current client base, about half of our clients are Caucasian and the other half are African-American and Hispanic. It's really trying to reach out into the Hispanic community. We've also, I don't know if you all have noticed this or encountered this, but we're very recently become aware of a community of Russian immigrants who they may have always been coming to the food pantry, but we're just becoming aware of their needs. So I don't know if you know of any Russian translators. Throw them our way. You do. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions so far? I feel like I'm just rambling. I'm sorry.
So are you currently taking in volunteers, accepting volunteers?
We are, and our biggest need for volunteers are people to help drive our trucks for the Operation Food Search pickups. We have 2 truck drivers that are leaving. You don't have to have a CDL, it's just a regular license. We do background checks on our drivers. Once a week for 4 or 5 hours would be great. The thing is with drivers is, there's also the whole loading thing with do have a hydraulic pallet jacks as well, which helps, but we really need people with muscles to help load and unload almost every day. So if you can help us spread that word, that would be a huge help.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
One, how did you become the interim director? And secondly, I kind of have a feeling, and I have supported the co-care financially, but you know, we were very involved with Ritenour Co-care as a club. We gave 1 day a week, 1 day a month, and all of a sudden we were kind of just forgotten. And
sorry,
you know, we don't need you now. We don't need you now. We kind of got away from supporting the Co-care Center as a club. So those 2 questions, okay?
Sure. So the first question is, how did I get to be interim executive director? I'm just going to have to blame that on God. I would say that I was invited to be on the board about a year ago. And I was only at 1 or 2 meetings, and then John Menard, who preceded me, stepped away, and because it's a volunteer position right now, and I had more time because of COVID, and I have experience in social work administration. I couldn't just sit on the board and not offer to help. So interim is an ambiguous term because none of us really know how long that will be. But I'm here for as long as I'm needed, and you know, the board and the community think I'm doing, you know, that I'm really helping to promote the whole organization and stabilize things. That was cool. Your second question was about Rotary involvement. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. But we were involved. We were very heavily involved, and all of a sudden it just went away.
So, was that related to COVID, or
no,
was it?
It was before COVID.
It was before COVID. Okay. I would say that right now, because of COVID, group involvement of volunteers is difficult, just because of the social distance that we're trying to maintain. Only 12 volunteers a day for social distancing purposes. Tell me how you all were involved in the past.
Well, we actually gave 1 meeting a month coming in to work in the facility. And
wow.
And all of a sudden we got word, oh, we don't have anything for you. We don't have anything for you. And then it seems to me, and others may speak to it, it seems like we just kind of dried up from what the Ritenour Co-care needed and what involvement we have had. Mm-hmm. So I think the relationship is first time you're kind of building it again. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's my main job.
Sister, what we used to do would be to come in the morning when we would normally meet. We gather at 7, and we would separate bacon into 12 slices per bag, or hamburger into pound, you know, the bulk stuff, or eggs into the dozen containers, or sort the canned goods into, you know, soups or whatever it might be. So we would be sorting to put stuff on the shelves and repackaging the bulk items that you had prior to when you opened up.
Yeah. David, maybe you and I can get together for coffee or a call or something and talk more about this. So Bob, thank you so much for bringing this up. I'm sorry that happened. But let's work together to see what we can do to, reestablish that partnership.
Okay.
And sister, on a similar line, our district does what is referred to as CAP grants. Now I can't think of what they stand for, but anyway, it's a small quick hit grant, about $2,000, give or take. Our district puts in 1,000. We put in 1,000. If it's over, we cover the overage, but the district matches it with 1,000. And it is for a sustainable item. So something like buying food, although it is needed, is not considered sustainable. But shelving or something along those lines that would be in the building and be able to be used. The application for this grant has to be in by, I want to say June 1st. So if there's something that you know that we can purchase, and we have a couple of people on the line that would be, I know, interested to help. Ruth's husband is at Menards. We could probably get a fairly good, maybe, discount or something, more bang for the buck, so to speak. So this is another item, another way that we could assist the food pantry if possible.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. I did apply for the CAP grant about 5 years ago for our art center, and it was a huge help in buying keyboards for the kiddos. So thank you for mentioning that. I'll get with you about that too, okay, David?
Sure.
So I just have a couple of other things I wanted to say about how the community and Rotary in particular can help to do what you've already done, is connect us with grants. Anytime of organizations looking for speaking opportunities on Zoom or in person, I would love to and be honored to speak on behalf of the pantry. We have an annual event, or we did before COVID, Trivia Night. You can support Trivia Night, sponsor a table, bring your family, bring your colleagues, come for a tour. Is there a time when your club could come for a tour of the pantry in the morning? Like use one of your meetings for that?
That would, I'm sure we could work something out and use one of the meeting times for that. I'm speaking for the club and it's not really my purview, but they're staying quiet, so I guess it's me.
Yeah.
Has
anybody been?
That's because you muted us.
Well, you can unmute yourself. We've been doing this a year. Don't blame me at this point.
Has anybody been to the new pantry?
No.
No. Oh my gosh. It is a gem. It is a treasure. It is beyond belief. I never saw the Lackland spot, but from what I hear, I mean, at the freezer space, the walk-in cooler space. Oh my goodness.
Well, we actually worked at both of the previous facilities, the one at the New Horizons Church and then the one on Lackland, right?
Yeah. We did.
Yeah. And there was one other location that I saw somewhere in history that I was reading. I'm sorry, but I just want to tell you one other thing. So prior to COVID, the pantry was what we call a choice pantry, where clients were welcomed in and they could kind of shop for what they like, what they want, what they have facilities to actually cook. Now during COVID, everything is curbside, unfortunately, with very little choice offered, just because of the volume of people we're serving.
That's a good question. How many people are you serving now?
Good question. So January, February, and now March, our average number of families per day is about 75. Still, which we joke because prior to that, we were serving 120 a day. There are a lot of pop-up, huge community food giveaways. Like I often see the Fifi Baptist Church on the Rock Road has signs for that. So there's a lot of food giveaways, which is just, helps us just manage better. So it was getting to the point where I thought, how can we sustain this? But God has provided, and clients are getting what they need in other places as well. Okay, so now we're curbside, but our big goal for this year is, assuming COVID, we will be able to reopen and welcome clients back into shop. I just think it's the most, in terms of human dignity, I think it's the way to go.
Do you have any kind of a target date for that, for reopening?
You know, we don't. I'm guessing not until the fall, but we don't know. We're really waiting to see how many of our volunteers are going to be able to get vaccinated and when. And I also think this is an opportunity to not just reopen as if we were still in this tiny little old food pantry. We're a whole new entity right now. So we have a lot of discerning and brainstorming to do before we get to the place of reopening. But we are in the process of discussing and planning and thinking about that.
Since you're talking about curbside, a very good friend of mine has been using it for about 3 months now. How do you know what to give him, or how does that work?
So that is one of the most difficult things right now, is everyone gets pretty much the same thing. And we're only able to distribute what we receive. So every time someone comes, it'll be different. Never know how many are going to come. We never know what we're going to have. So it's.
So he just shows up and you ask him what his name or something is, and then you just bring out some food.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, fine.
It's the whole thing is very transactional right now. We need to get back to the point where we can, develop relationships with those we're serving.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. The school districts. And
yes, ma'am. That's yes, earlier, sister. I'm kidding.
I retired from Ritenour, as did Ann and Jack Williams, who's one of our members. I know that Ken Crowder started a food drive at Ritenour Middle many years ago, and I actually taught there for 10 years. And one of the years, my homeroom was the winning team, only because Shop and Save was running a tremendous sale, and the kids brought in pennies and dimes and nickels, and I would go and buy cases of food. I know this year with COVID, that really hurt. My wife is also, she's the assistant to the St. Anne police chief, and I know they do a food drive also. Do you get food from the Ritenour School District food drives and or the police chief's food drives, or does that go somewhere else?
We do. Yes, we do. Keep in mind, I've only been there during COVID, so I only know what we get during COVID. Yeah, but I know before COVID we did, yes.
Yeah, and I know that COVID really, really hurt.
Yes,
not there, and the students not there, being able to collect the food, because as you said, this area, and that's I've been asked many times what's my favorite thing about the Ritenour School District, and I just say they're a giving community, and
absolutely,
for as little as many of our residents have, they are so darn generous.
Absolutely.
At the high school, we had sponsored a Make-A-Wish child at least 5 or 6 years in a row. And it's amazing to me how much this area is willing to give back with as little as they have. So
for sure, especially on tangible needs like for the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jack.
Morning.
Sister, back to the campground thing. Is there any equipment need that just comes straight to mind that you guys are that would help you guys out tremendously? That's just right off the top of your head, or is it something you're going to need to think about a little bit?
I do need to think about it and talk to, you know, my core team of volunteers, to the drivers. So I'm already thinking about, we have our core team meeting on Monday, so I can talk to them about that.
Okay, I'm just curious.
And if I recall correctly, something like computer equipment and such would also fall into this category, obviously, if it would help.
Oh my gosh, speaking of that, yes. So we're going to be instituting a new means of collecting information about our clients from our clients. And so we're going to be needing iPads that our intake people can enter it right on into. Ooh, hallelujah.
Sometimes you get lucky, right?
Yeah, you bet.
And Brian will be our club president next year, so this will impact. It'll fall under his year for us to get this done, which is why I know Brian is interested in putting it out real quick.
Sure. And when does that start, Brian?
Whenever they make me. The Rotary year starts July 1st, but as Dave said earlier, we have to. The club the board will decide if we want to pursue a CAP grant and then decide what the project is. And you know, we've expressed some interest in checking out what you guys need and also
yes.
You know, in case there's something Ritenour School District needs, you know, and try to
balance
or try to figure out what we're going to do. But yeah, it's nice to know that there might be a need with the food pantry.
And the general timeline is by August-ish, we would have the funds. We could, as you know, with the presentation and such that we did. There is a lag from when it's turned in to when we get the funds to purchase and present. So it would not be immediate. If this is something you need, you know, day before yesterday, it probably is not going to be the right thing. But if it's something that you can work through, that's a different story entirely.
Well, that's really helpful, so we can kind of plan things out, knowing the timeline. Well, thank you all. I shan't keep you any longer. But thank you for being a wonderful giving club and for all that you do for our community and really around the world. I have a cousin that's up in, I think it's called Yellow Jack, way up in northern Canada. And he's a Rotarian. And I know that you all do a lot of at the international level that I learn about from him. So keep up the great work. And I look forward to getting back and sponsoring, reestablishing our partnership. That's very important.
Thank you for taking your time out. I know we tend to hook people by it's a Wednesday meeting, and then after they agree, we'll say it's 7 a.m. It is the truth. We just changed the order of things a little bit. But thank you for helping us out and being part of our club today.
Thank you.
Brian,
stay safe.
You take care, sister. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, sister. Thank
Bye.
you.
Brian, is there anything that you need to bring us up to date on as far as the vaccines or anything else? Because I know we started a little before you joined in.
Yeah, sorry I was late. Looks like we're going to be doing a clinic on a weekly basis for the next few weeks. We were approved by the state to get it on a weekly basis. I may have said that last week. So we've got a clinic this week that I think is pretty full. And then next week, I know it opens up to teachers. You know, we'll be doing one next Saturday too. I think we'll have 200, maybe 300 doses. I'm not sure. So if you know of someone, you know, we can send you an email link early next week to get you signed up. I think most everybody on our thread here has been vaccinated. If there's somebody that hasn't, and you want to, please let me know.
You know,
Brian, is it Moderna again? Well, I never know what they're going to send me. The one for this week, we've got 300 doses, 200 are Moderna and 100 are Johnson & Johnson. Next, the ones that we've already received 200 doses for next week, and those are all Moderna. But we should be getting more next Tuesday, and I'm going to try, if this 300 doses goes smooth this Saturday, we'll go ahead and do 300 doses for next Saturday too. But I don't know what they're going to send me yet. Wonderful.
Brian, if you could text me that link. I know Matt and Bridget are scrambling to try to find places. There's a Facebook group called Concerned Educators, and they are just everybody. The Ritenour teachers are just scrambling to try to find places. I know that Chris Kilbride has been trying to get a mass vaccination going for teachers, and as you know, St. Louis County is kind of in disarray there, and he said he's getting kind of frustrated with the type of information that comes along. So I know that there could be a potential of several Ritenour teachers, although a lot of them are beginning to drive distances to get the vaccine. So
right. Yes, just send me an email for next week.
Okay.
Right now, all my efforts are, to be honest with you, on this Saturday.
Yeah.
So after Sunday, if you send me an email, then I can send. We'll get things set up, and I can send you the link.
Okay.
So, Brian, I do have another question, and feel free to say no. You tell me what'll work. My sister is in IT, which I believe is also in this next section, as far as critical infrastructure. That's from what her work said. That's where they fall in. Would she be able to sign up with you also at that point, or she's out for what it's worth? She's in Pacific, south on 44 a little bit. Does that matter as far as you're concerned? Or are you trying to stay this area?
She's in state. She's in state, so that's what the state looks at.
Okay.
If she's eligible, I don't have all the eligibility categories. I don't know them off the top of my head, but if according to the state, there is a list on the state website. If she's eligible, then yeah, she'd be able to sign up too.
Okay, and her husband is a retired teacher. I'm assuming he would not be eligible at this point.
If he's not, I wouldn't think so. If he's unless he's substitute teaching.
And he had been. He isn't with the grandchild. They're watching the grandchild, but I'll let them figure it out. He still has his sub certificate, so I'll let them figure it out.
Well,
so
when I send you a link, it'll have a link to the eligibility requirements.
Got it. That'll be a help. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Anything else before we sign off?
What about Brian needing help from the club, volunteering on any of the Saturdays, Brian?
And I appreciate that. That may come into play, and it kind of depends what the pharmacy school sends, because they're sending, vaccinators, but they're also supposed to be sending administrative help too to work the registration desk. So if they don't send what we're counting on that part, then yes, we might need some help. But it might be a plea on a Thursday saying we need help on Saturday type thing. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Anything else? All righty. Next week, we've got Julie Hahn from Ritenour will be with us. I'll arrange that one. Like I said, Bob's got the week after. No meeting on the 31st, just to give you guys a little heads up. Brian, you're off the hook on April 7th. I've got a speaker for that day. You get me my shot, we'll call it even. Just saying. I'm being silly, obviously. and then we'll keep going from there. So I will get the newsletter out like always, and please pay attention to the calendar so y'all can start working on stuff, or let me know and I'll try to figure something out from there.
Thanks, Dave.
All righty. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be safe, and we'll actually physically see each other sometime.
Have a good week.
Y'all take care.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good week, guys.
Everybody, goodbye.